Hello and welcome back to a new IELTS Express tutorial. Today IELTS writing task 1 is going to be on the topic of a table related to independent films released in the UK and Ireland by genre in 2012. And this question is a tough one for two reasons, mainly because there's so much data described in it, and the second because it's a table. And to be quite honest, I hate tables because the only thing I can see is numbers. But we're going to pull it through. Don't worry about it. So grab your notepad and don't forget to take notes while watching this tutorial. Okay, so let's get started by understanding the task. Here you should spend around 3 to maximum 4 minutes understanding the task, the visual cue, and what it tells you, and most importantly, what it doesn't show you. Okay, you have the same thing. You should spend about 20 minutes. Yes. You should also take note on the word below in the question, which you shouldn't be using in the summary because this one serves as a pointer. You also should be reading the task very carefully, and you also have the sentence which will be in every single academic task 1, summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. This is going to be in every single task 1, and it actually tells you what you should be doing: selecting, reporting, summarizing, main features, comparisons. These are the keywords. If you're going to take the paper-based, you can underline them. So you have to understand that you have to write about the main points, not every single detail. And as you can see, there are a lot of numbers over there. Make sure you also meet the minimum words, 150 words. If you're going to take the computer-based, the computer is going to do the job for you, is going to count every single word. If you take the paper-based, and I keep telling this to all my students, don't spend precious time counting every single word, but you can count the words on each line and then multiply with the number of words, and this is going to give you roughly the overall words in your summary. All right, you have to look at the table very carefully. You also have to look at what each column says: genre, number of releases, percentages of releases, percentages of income. Be careful, these are not numbers, are percentages. Numbers are not percentages, and percentages are not numbers. You should also think of a very pretty word, a synonym for percentages, which is proportion. But today we'll be dealing with the sample answer, and we'll be dealing with what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing if you're aiming at band 5 or 5.5. Okay, and you should also pay attention at the time frame. Since here is in 2012, it means that everything is going to be in the past, and the time frame will tell you what tense to use. Okay, so let's get started. I recommend the four paragraph structure, or the 12 sentence structure: introduction, paraphrasing the question; overview, giving the big picture; and 2 body paragraphs in which you should be comparing, giving details, identifying the main trends and talking about the main trends, and supporting them with the data from your table. So let's get started. We're going to have a look at the introduction, where you have to introduce the topic of the visual cue. You shouldn't change the name of the visual cue. You should keep it like this, the table. And you should also spend some time planning your answer before you start. As you can see here, the candidate didn't use show, but provide information. And try to paraphrase, meaning try to use synonyms as much as possible, but which they don't sound awkward. Okay, this is extremely important. This is a 2-sentence introduction because, as I said before, there's quite a lot of information to deal with. We're moving on to the second most important part of your essay, of your summary, the overview, which should start with the word overall, because it will give the examiner, it's like a pointer and will tell the examiner this. Here I have identified the main trends. And as you can see, I have highest income, comedy, yeah, drama and documentary were released mainly, but the highest income because maximum people love to watch comedy movies. Okay, nothing, I mean, over the top. This is for band 5, totally fine. Remember, you must actually, not should, but you must write an overview. Otherwise, you won't score more than band 5. So we're moving on to the first paragraph. Since it's a lot of information, we are going to deal with 2 paragraphs. And besides using the data from the table to compare and contrast, which is also very important, 8.3, 2.9%, 35 of each. I also use the pointers, for example, to support my ideas. You also have to state, I mean, here the candidate also states that the table makes it very clear that there is a correlation between the number of films made in any category and the proportion of ticket sales earned by that sort of film. So here the candidate has identified the relation between the movies and the sales. Okay, you should also be using linking words and phrases such as for example and however, which will help the reader understand your line of thinking. However and but and so are basic, but again for band 5 is sufficient. Okay, so the second paragraph deals with the highs or the most significant, the most important. And here the candidate has identified comedy and the biopic. And then he continues, most financially successful, and then supports the idea with example, 26 films out of 148, and then in percentages, and then moves on to the second type, biopic, accounted for 9.1. Also make sure that your punctuation is correct. And since we're talking about 2012, which was 11 years ago, you can now easily see that the candidate has successfully used past tenses. Nothing too complicated. Yes, the vocabulary can absolutely be elevated and upgraded, but since this is a band 5 to 5.5, I think this is sufficient. All right, and that was it. 8 minutes. So in 8 minutes, I have told you exactly what you should be doing and what you should be writing when you're dealing with a table. Tables are quite nasty, I know, but it is extremely important for you to group them, to group the numbers that you see in the tables and to follow my advice. Keep the 4-paragraph structure, introduction, overview, 2 body paragraphs in which you compare and contrast. Spend 3 minutes at the beginning of task 1 to analyze the question, circle or underline keywords, 50 minutes for actually writing, and then 2 minutes at the end to revise and review. And that's that, done and dusted. It's a fail-proof technique. Trust me, it works. But it works only if you keep practicing it. So you have to do this multiple times. I do hope you found this lesson useful. If you do, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and share with your friends. And if you have any comments or suggestions, don't forget to leave them in the comment section. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to keep practicing on your English. Take care. Bye bye.